Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about truckers in Canada, I guess. I've had a lot of people ask why I haven't really been covering this story. The simple answer to this is in relation to the stuff that we talk about on this channel, it's not really a big story. I know if you live in Ottawa, it may seem different, but in relation to what we typically discuss when we're covering stuff like this, it's not a story. The main reason is that the Canadian officials are handling it well. Again, I know that may not be the perception, because I know a lot of people want them to go in there and crack heads and clear the streets because it would be super gratifying and all of that stuff. That's not the right move. That isn't the right move. I have a playlist somewhere that's titled, it's in the manual or something like that. And the entire playlist is really just kind of keeping track of all of the Trump administration's failures in regards to the demonstrations in the Pacific Northwest. Because not just did they make a bunch of mistakes, they made a bunch of mistakes that are literally in the playbooks saying, hey, don't do this. And the biggest one was they tried to implement a security clampdown. When you do that, you make movements like this grow. Because then there's imagery of the average person, that's how it's perceived, fighting against the state. It makes him the underdog. It makes people want to pull for him. So if you're faced with something like this, the correct answer is to do what you would normally do in a free society, which is allow them to have their voices heard, even if they are saying something that may not make a whole lot of sense. And then you focus on your law enforcement efforts. Those get focused on vandalism and violence. That's what you look for. And that's what it appears the Canadian officials are doing. I know it may not seem like it if you live in Ottawa, but if you want this to go away, this is the correct response. Because rather than a bunch of working class people getting, beat by the Mounties, what you have are people out there screaming, it's horrible, it's as bad as it was in Germany in the 1930s, it's an authoritarian state, they're trying to silence us. I know you've been hearing this for 2 weeks and nothing has happened, because that's not true, right? It completely undercuts their message. They have to know that they're losing the PR fight on this at this point. Now, what I would expect is sometime in the next 72 hours, if they're actually following the manual that closely, I want to say it's right about now that they would begin ramping up arrests of those people who are supplying those who are engaged in vandalism and stuff like that. That's when they start going after the facilitators. And that tends to disperse stuff like this. But I have no idea. I don't know if the Canadian manual's the same, and I have no idea if they're following it that closely. But that's what I would expect to see next soon. Now, other than that, the only other commentary is just the obvious hypocrisy that has just come to embody the freedom for me but not for thee conservatives of today, whatever they've morphed into. The whole thing is, we can't work. So they shut down a whole bunch of other working class people, right? In the United States, this whole thing, the main trigger of support appears to be truckers who would have to have a vaccine to go into Canada. A bunch of Trump supporters being upset about border regulations being too tight, that's not something I saw coming, I'm going to be honest. But the overwhelming hypocrisy isn't going to faze them at all, because while they're sitting there and supporting this and maybe even trying to send money to people who may or may not even be involved with it, they're still complaining that, these asylum seekers, they may not be vaccinated, coming from a country where they don't actually have a lot of access to the vaccine. But because the conservative movement of today has just become a bunch of entitled, whiny, temper tantrum throwing, people, they expect that they should be able to do whatever they want. They should be able to go across whatever border they want and not have to worry about any regulations. Regulations that are far more relaxed than anything they would impose themselves on anybody who didn't look like them. It's just the standard temper tantrum. I don't really see it as much of a story. And as long as the Canadian government continues with its current approach and doesn't bow to the pressure, because eventually there will be pressure mounting, especially from those people in Ottawa who are having their businesses disrupted, that it's going to be like, you know what, bring them in, bring them in, get these people out of here. The Canadian government's going to have to resist that until the movement starts to disperse on its own. Once that starts, if they want to go in and prove a point and show that they're the big bad state and they can do whatever they want, yeah, they can do that if they wait for it to start to disperse on its own. If they do it before then, yeah, you're probably going to have an influx of people wanting to come to their aid. So that's a bad move. So anyway, this is why I really haven't talked about it. From my perspective and the stuff that I cover, it's kind of boring. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.